That's it, square up.
Mr. Robertson?
Here.
Sorry.
And trustee Lane is excused.
All right, I need a motion for acceptance of the minutes for the September 18th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. The special meeting for September 28th, 2024, the Board of Trustees. The acceptance of the minutes of the special meeting October 1st, 2024, the Board of Trustees. And acceptance of the minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
You're all that again. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the minutes of the September 18th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. The minutes of the special meeting from September 28th, 2024 of the Board of Trustees. Acceptance of the minutes for the special meeting October 1st, 2024 of the Board of Trustees, and the acceptance of the minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
I would like,
All right, Mr. Gloria?
yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, and then I need a motion for the acceptance of invoices and records.
I get the motion to accept all invoices as presented by the fiscal officer, Ms. Erickson.
I will second.
Mr. Gloria?
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, Sheriff's report.
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Joe Rowe, Lieutenant County Sheriff Patrol, District 1. The report for September. The Sheriff Department had 284 runs in September. 226 of those were dispatch runs. 58 of those were self-initiated or non-billable runs. Our service exchange, only 6 times Miami Township cars were requested outside of Miami Township. 71 times they were actually went, 25 were disregarded en route. 134 times county cars outside of Miami Township were requested inside. 76 times they arrived, 58 times they were disregarded en route. We took 12 criminal reports and nine non-criminal reports and 8 auto accident reports. So quite a busy month actually. We've had some critical incidents occurring also in the store. Quite a bit of things happen. But thanks to all our resources, we were able to respond in time. So, any questions? Yes.
Yeah, since we spoke at the last meeting about the homicide on East Miami River Road and we discussed the perimeter, did you get a chance to have a follow-up?
I did. Not good. I assume everybody knows there was an arrest made in that incident by our detectives following up and making an arrest. As far as your question, reference a first initial deployment, I talked to the sergeant on scene, the first sergeant on scene. In my opinion, the initial deployment was correct. Only a few cars. There's only so much you can do. There was a question about why squad was called in soon. Maybe it wasn't 100% safe scene, but there was an injured person over the street that they had to get out. So deploying your limited resources at first were protecting the man as much as you can, and also still trying to save his life, get him to the spot and get him out again. Now, I did speak with the sergeant and with my supervisor about post that you have more resources coming in. Why we didn't get somebody up into your neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhood, and that was just a mistake on our part. So that was addressed.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions?
I understand you guys had some training up here the last couple of days. That's great. So
We did, and I believe we're going to be continuing to utilize the facility as much as we can. The facility worked great for us. Let's hear it. We had it yesterday and today. I was here. Today's training was dealing with stress management for our supervisors, dealing with stress and dealing with their officer stress. Instructor from UC Psych came out to help us with that. And then we have our own crisis management team that also came out, put it out there for starting. So Well, thank you for the use of facilities. It was fantastic. They couldn't have ran better, actually. Thank you.
It's available, your documents. And, obviously, we have trick or treat coming up, so, you guys can be visible out there. So, cars for our little ones. So,
The weather was.
There was one thing I forgot to ask you. You and I spoke on the side about notifying the public, and you said, asked me if I had a landline, which I do. And you said something about a reverse call. But anyway, when this train car had its incident, somehow they broadcasted it over our cell phone.
Yeah, I
And
did
that
follow up with that, and I did, and we could have, there was something the comm center could have done. They did not do it that night. Again, that was something that was addressed, but, something they could have put out, but they didn't either. Now, I don't, obviously with backseat, driving here, you're, what do you want to say, a couch. You're doing this from the couch and post after the incident happened, there's a lot going on at the scene, including that we don't even have the guy yet. But that being said, should something have been put out, saying there's potential danger in the area, please stay in your house? Yes, but it was not. I agree. And there is that capability, obviously, that was used during the train. So we'll try to be better on that, obviously.
Thank you.
can also, if I may, I had communicated with Mr. Brett, our administrator, and we reached out. I reached out specifically to the sheriff's office to inquire about flock cameras. Those were discussed previously, and this was going back, I don't know, 5 to 6 months ago, wasn't it? Or so I thought that I could say it then. Sure. And so that was instrumental in catching the individual eventually, and it's something that I'd like to continue to push and see if we can expand the amount of block cameras that we have in our jurisdiction here. If they're a great resource, great tool, but they do cost like everything else. So I'm going to propose that we try to up the number of block cameras that we have in our next contract. So that's been kind of sitting on the back burner, waiting. But it's something that I'd love to push, because I think that's a great tool.
And for those who don't know, flock cameras are basically licensed reader cameras that are stationary, not on our patrol cars, but in specific posts on specific streets or intersections. Is that like Delhi is? They're all over. They're, yes, but Delhi's in on it, but all county areas, I would say all, and Coal Lake is one that significant one that's not doing it, but most areas are putting block cameras on. It's great aid, as he said, in following up on criminal activity, whether it be car break-ins in the area or more serious incident might be homicide.
I just want to clarify, this isn't a red light camera. This isn't a speeding camera.
Not used for
I don't want
enforcement at all.
million emails saying, "Oh, you guys are putting up, red light cameras."
No. The sheriff's department very.
These are specifically for, like the lieutenant said, criminal activity, to kind of catch the bad actors that are out there coming in and out of our
If you can imagine in the neighborhood, a lot of cars can get a hit in one night and pretty quick. They're pretty quick about it, either shaking unlocked doors, breaking a bunch of windows, getting in and out of the neighborhood. Officers can only be in certain areas so much time left. So if a neighbor sees maybe not a license plate, but a description of a car, pretty good description of a car, that can be put into the flock. It doesn't have to have a license plate, but the description can be. And then they can see at that time where all this happened, we see a car leaving in that area. Then we get that license plate, we follow up and see if it's related. It's a great tool to have. That's just one instance of how they can.
So yeah, I'd love to include that. I'm sure the board will be discussing that.
Any other questions for the presentation?
Thank you.
All right, administrative report. Brett.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off with the styrene leak in the rail car that was actually in Whitewater Township, just a few hundred feet out of our township there. I just want to say Chief Schuman is ill this evening, or he could talk more about this. Right now, we probably know more about styrene than we ever thought we would. And I know that the chief ran the on-site operations for Whitewater Township for some time. So our department was very involved in that. There were probably, I think, 10 different organizations at the command center for that organization. And when you think about our fire department helping out, and as a for instance, you don't think about what it means to other areas. A good example is Bright, Indiana, came down to help out. So a unit from Cedar Grove, Indiana, moved to Bright to cover the Bright area. So when you have an incident like this, it really gets the entire region involved. And the sheriff's office has, I can't imagine, I can't even remember what the count was on how many units you had out here doing traffic control and things. So all in all, a situation that could have been really bad was handled really well. But our fire department and Whitewater's fire department did a great job of working it and getting that car safely to Enios, where they had the capacity to work with the product and the experts to work with it. So we held a joint meeting with Whitewater Township on the following Tuesday. The railroad stayed around until Friday, taking information and claims and things. We put together what I think was a really good informational meeting for people who still had questions. So the Whitewater Township Board of Trustees, the Miami Township Board of Trustees, the Village of Cleves, Hamilton County Public Health had actually the Health Commissioner, Greg Kesterman, was there. Hamilton County Emergency Management Agency had 2 representatives there, including Nick Crossley, who runs that division. The EMS director for Whitewater was there to answer medical questions. And we put that all together just on Tuesday, a week after the incident. So we were able to answer people's questions from the area. And I think a lot of people were surprised that we could pull it off that fast. But I think it helped alleviate a lot of people's questions and fears. And as far as I know, that's the first joint meeting we've ever had of our townships, and went really well. And I look forward to working together with them more in the future. So, anybody have any questions on that before I move on? So, all right. Our Jordan Road waterline bids, we've extended that an extra week so we could get some extra information out to people. We should have those in and reviewed and ready for approval on November the 6th. The parking lot bids for West Park for the new parking lot on the school property. Mark Rosenberger and I sat here and received no bids on the bid date. So we have extended that bid period. It's open until we receive a bid that we feel is acceptable. We're hoping to have 2 tonight, but we didn't receive either of them. So we're continuing to work on those. Mark and I are both working with 3 or 4 contractors trying to get those prices in. Information on township finances, as you have probably seen, and I know I've touted this at meetings, but Cindy and I have had several people who've asked about the township finances. And during our last 2 scheduled coffees with Jim and Cindy, we've had over 11 people show up total, just to learn about township financing in general, not just for the fire levy, but how our money's spent, what we spend it on. So we both feel like this has been really successful, and we're going to schedule some additional time throughout next year to continue this. And as always, if you want to come in at any time and talk with us, we're glad to schedule that. Some good news for the folks down on Vermont Pass. We took us a while to get our contractor in, but that road was getting in pretty bad condition because of the construction in the rear of that development. But we did get the patchwork complete, and looks to me like Jurgensen did a very good job for us. Wayne is I'll get nod of his head back there. So, everything looks good there. We will have to work with them to talk about resurfacing that facility later on and, maybe an alternate way in or something. It's just, that road's 25 years old. It wasn't built for construction traffic. And, we may be contacting the sheriff's department and seeing if the scales might be able to come out and check weights for us, on the trucks coming in, just to make sure that the folks who are bringing stuff into the construction area and, are bringing illegal loads. The rest of our road resurfacing projects are underway with Strasser, the same company we've used in the past. Everything looks like it's going good with that. There's a little bit of excess gravel and sand on the roads that Strasser will have somebody come in and look at tomorrow, and we'll be talking with them about whether it's not in their contract, but we would like to see them street sweep those areas. If not, we will work something out with them to get that done, because they really do need it. And we have some items under old and new business to discuss, but I'll wait till then. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Anybody from the public have any questions for Mr. Brett? Thank you. Should reports, there's going to be a public presentation, public responses to go in there. We're going to take Chief Shivers, report.
I am. The chief was going to try really hard to be here this evening, and he looked really bad. And I told him we didn't need him to share what it looked like he was coming down with. So I'll hit the instance statistics. Fires, we had none in Addison. This is for September 24, 3 in Cleves, 5 in Miami Township, none in North Bend. Fire prevention inspections, they didn't do any. They did do some public relations work, a couple in Cleves, 6 in Cleves, 2 in Addison, 5 in Miami Township, 1 in North Bend. I believe the open house here went really well on Saturday. Let's see. There's a significant fire response. It's a chemical styrene leak. And during the storms, we had 39 calls for storm damage. And I think that was in like a 12-hour period. It was a huge amount of calls in very little time. EMS highlights, they're working with both Mercy Hospital and Tri-Health to schedule EMT trainings for the fall. Shift crews are attending online training hosted by Tri-Health. Cardio Partners invoice finalized. An incorrect invoice was written off by Cardio Partners. The Stryker 4-year service plan contract renewed. So that covers all our LP15 units, the Lucas, the AEDs, and all are checked out and in great shape. So we have 12 members completed their incident command training certificate, and that's the highlights for the fire department for the year.
Question for Mr. Brett on
How many EMS runs?
on here, Mr. Brett. 23. So,
23. Total for the month. EMS was 15 Addison, 4 Cleves, 10 Miami Township, and 2 in North Bend. The severe weather is the one that surprised me. We had 2 in Cleves, 5 in Miami Township, 1 in North Bend. I would have thought there would have been more of those. So, but we had 1 fire alarm alert in Addison, 3 in Cleves, and 11 in Miami Township. That's seems a little high for fire alarms. So since we didn't have that many fires, a lot of those were probably storm-related incidents.
But the EMS is 15 in Madison, 28 includes 82 in the unincorporated areas and 12 in North Bend. So that's, you think about how many of these responding every single day.
Any other questions? Mr. Brett? Perfect.
Highlights for the senior center, and left at the front. September 5th, members went to our last season. We won, which was exciting. And we look forward to some of the games next year. Hopefully they'll have a better season next year. Fingers crossed, we'll see. September 11th, we had a presentation by Don Gillum at Columbia Park. Which was a company town built in the mid-1920s by the Cincinnati Gas and Electric Company to attract workers to Mining Fort Power Station. Mr. Gillum, actually a former resident, was there and shared facts, memories, pictures of when he grew up there. So it's pretty interesting. September 18th, our monthly lunch outing, we had 20 people go to Strong's Pizza, which was a big group. It kind of overtook the restaurant, but it was nice. September 25th, we thought it was best to close the center now because it's just a little too close for comfort for us. So we closed on the 25th. 27th of September, our birthday party, Visiting Angels. They came and sponsored our birthday party. So they provided dessert called bingo, provided bingo prizes. They're a program where they provide home health care, companion care, personal care, so people can stay in their home rather than maybe going to assisted living. So it just helps people stay in their homes if that's what they choose to do. I think that's it. Upcoming events, November 12th, 10 o'clock. They're coming to give a drone demonstration for the seniors. So that'll be, and I think they'll be very interested in that whole technology and that. So hopefully we have good weather, fingers crossed. And so I'm looking forward to that. November 14th at 2, our senior course is going to Harrison Trail to perform our first trip. It's going different places, so that should be fun. And November 20th is our big Thanksgiving lunch, the senior center. So it's always a big event. So that's it.
Questions? Ms. Berger?
If you have the meatball hoagie at Strong's, please.
No, it's good. Okay, so maybe I can get that next time. Yeah, no, we did not. I will take note of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Said some of the stuff about room pass and Jefferson. But I spoke to Jeff Dirk about the town hall gas lines. They're trying to meet me tomorrow, give a bit on that, it'll be there. And they're gonna start the crack sealing next week, or actually they're today, West Park. They're starting it today, they don't forget. So they're there today. Holmes is doing that. And the hydrants, we put a stop on the hydrants because of the weather. Coming in, talk to Matthew, and stuff. There have been 5 barrels this month in the cemetery, and Duke is actually coming there too. We had a transformer blow down for the last windstorm. They forgot it, so that's when they're coming tomorrow. There's the transformer. We're getting caught up on foundations and pouring stuff and cleaning up after the windstorms. That's about it.
So you're really staying up on everything. So it seems like you're doing a great job in that position.
Appreciate it.
So thank you for keeping everybody apprised.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Yeah.
On the roads, is there anything in the plan in the future on this year or next year to work on some of the curbs
Maybe something Jim can answer.
We actually did a little bit of curb work this year, earlier in the year, and we'll be looking more at the curbs next year in our entire overall program. So if you have a spot, if you can see me afterwards or drop me an email, we'll certainly put it on the list.
Because on my property on each side, one of them is so broke up, you see the rebar sticking out. So I'll talk to you.
Okay. Yeah, if you can hang around afterwards, I'll be glad to get that information.
Any other questions for Mr. Miller? Thank you.
I will, and I think I have an idea of why Mr. Hughes isn't here this evening. So, his report reads, all our employees continue to work safely. No reported accidents or injuries during this period. Thanks to all employees for putting safety first. This year, 2 BWC claims for minor injuries is all we've had. We attended the Hamilton Safety Council meeting for October. The topic was distracted driving. He and I met last week, and Jimmy's been here, I think, 55 years, and he is announcing his retirement this evening as of January 25th. So, things down at, I knew him when he was a fireman down at Frogtown, and he's helped make our fire department what it is. He helped us with safety here. I'm sure he didn't know who I was when I first met him because I was just a young kid with a black hat who was over there doing some training, but he treated me with great respect, and everybody from our department that worked with him always loved the relationship that both Hoobity Town and Frogtown and Miami Heights, and then now I'm going all the way back to when we had different names for each station. So I don't blame him for wanting to tack it in after 55 years, but he is going to be greatly missed, and we'll be doing something for him between now and the end of his time. So, and he was able to assist the fire department a few times, and he actually helped out during the styrene leak as well. So this might be the last written report we get from him, but I think I'll save this one maybe for Craig. So that's all he had.
Appreciate Mr. Hughes' 55 years of service. That's no small task, and certainly should be celebrated. And we'll acknowledge it in the appropriate way, I'm sure.
His knowledge, like when he brings to the table, his knowledge and professionalism, certainly going to be sent to the township. So.
And the other thing that he promised me when we had lunch was that he's not going to block my numbers. So if I need something after he's off our payroll, I can still call him. We may, my back gets better. We may even try to get out and lose a few golf balls together. But that's the goal.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Rose.
Wayne's kind of new to this, so he sat down and said he forgot something to go.
We'll be out cleaning up the streets, pick up leaves. We'll be out cleaning up the streets so that residents know we clean up the curbs, not their yards. But we'll be out trimming limbs along the street, picking leaves up there. Thank you.
Like you need something.
Thank you.
So there are 13 events in September in the community center in the lower level, no rentals in town hall, and there were 2 park rentals. In addition to the 13 paid events that we had here, I also had the privilege of coordinating catering for 3 firefighter trainings. It's no small feat to plan lunch for 30 firefighters. I was told that after the first one that I needed to add a little love to it, and then my dessert needed to be a little better. So a little better each time. So I wasn't allowed to bring anything in Meyer containers anymore. They needed to be placed on plates and look prettier is what they told us. So Anyway, I think we had it good by the third training. Long-term rentals started to get up again. We have dance, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts in the lower level. Town hall was used by church, Daughters of the American Revolution. Is that right? Is that correct? Okay. Kiwanis Senior Choir and the Three Rivers Women's Club. Reminder that there is an open house at the community center on October 22nd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Everyone's welcome. I just use these open houses as a time for people who are already booked can come in and ask questions. And for people who are calling, it's just, it opens up an evening where anyone can come in, look at the facility, ask tons of questions, sign contracts, whatever. And then planning is in full swing for our Winter Wonderland in Miami Township. So save the date for December 6th from 5 to 7:30. And it's going to be another exciting event for residents of Miami Township. And that's it.
Questions for Ms. Rose?
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Nothing, from the department. Okay, you have, the IT report.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Had a meeting this afternoon and he sent this a little late for me to get printed out, so bear with me while I read it off my phone. His IT updates, we have proposals outstanding for an upgrade to the camera in this room and the Station 70 training room proposal and also Station 69. He wants to revisit and update that quote and maybe do something a little different. Part of our goal is for our fire personnel to be able to do the training at their station. So we can use the main training room here and they can be in their training room where they are and they don't have to leave the station so they can be closer to the people that they need to serve rather than everybody have to drive up here for their training. So we're going to be looking at that. The new door lock controls are scheduled. So they're going to start, I believe, the 28th. We'll get them ever shake her head, yes.
Yes.
So the issues we've had with being able to get in and out and unlock things will hopefully be solved with that. He's still working on scheduling the electronics to be recycled. Serial numbers for all our computers are in the IMS system now. So we can do a better job of keeping track of our input. And the Station 68 wireless is to get upgraded by migrating and overlapping AP from Station 69 and relocating it to Station 68. And I honestly have no idea what that means, but if we get their wireless communication better up there, then I'm all for it. And that's his report for the month.
Thank you. Any questions on that?
I guess I'd just like to bring up this reminder that we're still hoping to get
Sorry.
these videos on our new website. So I still think that that's something that, I advocated for even, I think before you came on board, it's still on your site. I think it makes sense to, make that accessible to folks so that, we'll just keep plugging along and.
The new camera here will make that much easier to do.
Sure.
Okay.
Consideration of adding a part-time contract position for property maintenance issues. That executive session.
Yes, please. I think that's a good idea.
All right, under new business, approval of irrigation pipe in the west part of Quick Connect Bond for hand watering cost $9,600 and higher.
That will allow for some additional field maintenance and things at one of the auxiliary fields. Something that Mr. Bland had asked me to look into, and I think we should go ahead and do that so they can keep those fields in best shape we can.
It's my understanding that this is actually going to be more efficient and less labor intensive, so that actually do a benefit.
Yeah, they won't be dragging around 300 foot of hose to try to do that.
Sure. Then we approved the irrigation piping at West Park. Cost of $9,600 through.
Mr. Ballroom?
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Next is the adoption of 2025 holiday schedule. With policy itself.
So we, in the past, well, the fire union negotiates their holidays separately, so, the chief has suggested we keep part-time and full-time holidays, the same as the union contract for them, but, our maintenance department, our senior center, and our office staff all had varying holidays in the past, and if we're going to, well, I'm going to say when we pursue our actual employee policy, we need to set these. So you have before you a list of holidays that I suggest that we set for every department, that everybody's the same. So we don't have, one department off, one department on, and we can't coordinate things. So I think this would be a better system. The biggest change that we this year we observed Columbus Day, and in talking with most of the folks, it seemed like they were willing to trade Columbus Day for the day after Thanksgiving to get a 4-day weekend. And I found that when people are out on a Thursday, they come back in on a Friday. It's not as efficient as having them there for a full week. So I thought that was a good idea and something that the staff would like. But
That can be the shopping at 5
yeah, I've been told where they open. So.
No, I think it's great. I know that in the past when we tried to make announcements as far as the offices being closed for and acknowledging and recognizing holidays that, and like we're trying to differentiate, figure out who's doing what. So I think that's a great proposal by our administrator, and I really support standardizing it and making everyone a consistent place. Any discussion otherwise, I will make a motion if it's appropriate to that we adopt the proposed Miami Township holiday schedule effective January 1st of 2025.
I will second.
Mr. Ballroom?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Great. Next is appointment of 2024-2025 planning committee contingent. Want to talk about nominees. Discuss that and
Yeah, I also agree that that's appropriate for executive session here.
all right. Next, resolution 13-2024, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
It's just something we have to do every year. It's telling us what, if our levies pass, what money we're receiving, if we're continuing levying. So it's just something that we have to certify to send back to the counties. And right now it's proposed, the police and the fire levy are on there.
But it's more of a housekeeping thing for the county. Every jurisdiction in the county has to do it, so. Then you have the amounts attached
Right.
in the back.
Your general fund, your county, garbage levy.
Uh, 13, 2024, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county.
Mr. Walrick? Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Great. Next up, any public comments at this time?
My name is Darlene West, and I'm the local coordinator for the Wreaths Across America campaign that decorates the veterans' graves down at the Brook Cemetery. I have just a couple housekeeping things to keep you up to date since you are one of our strongest supporters. We're about 300 wreaths behind schedule this year, but like anything else, it's been a tough year for lots of people. I still have a few businesses that I'm going to be approaching, so hopefully we'll be real close to our goal. We did raise our goal this year to 1,500. Last year with 1,451 wreaths, we came out exactly correct. Unfortunately, we have to anticipate that we need more this year because of veterans passing away. We are scheduled to have our event on the 14th of December. The ceremony at Maple Grove Cemetery will start at 12 noon. It has become a real community project lately. We have the high school chorus that will be there with us. We have the color guard from the Diamond Oaks JROTC that will be there. The American Legion always does a wonderful job of supplying us with materials. We have the scouts that participate. Last year, we had over 200 volunteers that were there to help place the wreaths on the graves of the veterans that we have here. We are hoping that we can get more community donations involved this year. We have great support from our organizations, the different government entities in the area, Kiwanis, the Women's Club, the American Legion, several of the businesses. What we're hoping to get across to people this year is that these are your families that we are taking care of. And if 100 families in the Miami Township area would donate $34 to Wreaths Across America, it would take care of 3 wreaths. And then 100 families will meet our goal this year. Many families feel that, well, we don't have a veteran buried in Maple Grove. You may have a veteran buried at another cemetery somewhere around the country. There are 4,900 cemeteries this year that are taking part in Wreaths Across America. If you have a veteran buried someplace else, chances are somebody's taking care of them and making sure that there is a wreath on their grave. We hope that you'll consider, if your veteran isn't here, somebody else's veteran is. And maybe it would be a wonderful thing for you to reach out and make sure that that grave has a wreath on it. Deadline for wreaths is the week of Thanksgiving. Mr. Miller, wreaths will be arriving on the 7th of December. So I will let you know as soon as I hear from the driver as to what time we need you down there. If it weren't for the Miami Township Maintenance Department, we could not do this. They are there to help us unload. They are there to help us place the wreaths after they have placed them around the cemetery. They are there to take them down once they start looking a little scraggly and don't complement the cemetery anymore. This is 6 years now.
Yeah.
First year we started with 600 wreaths, and as I said, last year we had 1,400. I hope you'll consider doing this. We've made it as easy as possible in that we now have our own QR code. So I'm going to leave some of these with Caroline. She's always been gracious enough to have them out there. We thank the Village of Cleves because this is now posted on their website as well. So hopefully we'll have families that will reach out to us and we'll be able to make sure that I invite all of you to join us if it fits into your schedule on December 14th, because without you, we couldn't do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Darlene. I think that's it's a great event. Every year we enjoy doing it. And you did say there was $34 to re-read.
The form says that it's $34 for 2 wreaths, but for every 2 that we buy, we get 1 free. So you're basically paying a little over $11 or so for each wreath, but they have to be bought in 2s to get that extra one.
And you had some warm days, and some pretty cool days, but it is a great.
We had
it's a
last
great
year was
event.
really.
Yeah, great thing.
Okay, anything else from public?
Mr. Moore?
Yes. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm speaking as mayor of the village of Cleves. And I'm also glad to see Mr. Beck is here tonight. I think he'll remember this conversation. Back in 2021, I believe you were still on as a trustee, correct? Possibly. You're not taking that responsibility. Well, just for the record, I never intended to run as mayor in Cleves, never wanted to do that. But Mr. Beck asked me after watching a number of the Miami Township meetings, was there any way they could improve? And I said, you're asking me that question when the only thing I can really compare it to is Cleves. Quite frankly, I used to refer to the village of Cleves as the stealth government. And the reason for that is they never discussed anything openly. We're still having problems in that area from the standpoint of 2023, but that has been corrected in 2024. So I come here because, quite frankly, I think there's some issues that the Miami Township residents, all of them, incorporated, unincorporated, need to look at. And today, I drove to Piqua, Ohio. Now, that may not mean a whole lot. I've never been to Piqua before. I was there at the request of the Miami Conservatory District. And they asked me to come up and watch a dedication to the Rockingham Dam. If you're not familiar with that, there's 5 dams that were built right after the 1913 flood. And those dams prevent the Great Miami River from doing the type of destruction that was brought upon this area. Cleves is the southernmost part, but all along 128, you know, if you're living in Frogtown or that area, all of that area was devastated. And back in April, there were some questions about the conservatory because they were going to raise rates. There were actually assessments that are on the taxes. And the Cincinnati Enquirer actually called me for an interview. And I would not interview at that time because I didn't have enough knowledge to really understand what the conservatory district actually does and what those assessments were. But all throughout April, they were getting hit from residents that were concerned about an increase in taxes. This wasn't going to be a huge increase for most, but there were some, especially businesses, that were going to be receiving a huge increase. And so they put a pause on it. And that pause was because of the fact there was so much outcry. And the outcry was a result of the public knowing. And that's one of the concerns I guess I have as the mayor of Cleves, is that we were asked to add a 2% levy in the spring of the year to support the fire department and the fire levy. So we did not agree to that. There were questions that we had that were not answered in that meeting. And we still don't have those. And I've attended both of the ambassador meetings that dealt with the fire levy. Very little information was shared there, and that's primarily because of the fact they'd already voted to put it on Miami Township residents. And yes, I'm getting questions from my residents via email about the levy. They're confused. They thought they were going to be voting on this levy, and they were concerned about the amount of the increase. If any of you want to go take a look at the auditor's page,
and take a look at what the current taxes are you're paying for the fire department versus what you're going to be paying, it doesn't make any difference where you live in Miami Township. It is 125% increase. You can go to your auditor's page and you can look it up for yourself. If you're out in the Frogtown area, that might only be $3. But if you're up in Deer Run or one of the other major subdivisions, it could be $600 or $700. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that because quite frankly, that type of information does not come out. And I'm not sure why it hasn't come out. We talk about mills. Most people don't even understand what the mills are or how it works. But when you talk about 125% increase, they take a look at that. Some of my residents have already brought that up. And when they found out, for example, that Cleves had not joined on this, and I would also tell you Addison did not agree to it either, there just wasn't enough communication to our villages. So what I want to say to everyone here tonight is that we need, all citizens need better communication from their government. The question was asked at the last ambassadors meeting, whose idea was it to combine the levies? That answer was not answered that day by anybody. Cindy was gone by that time. So what is the answer? I know what the answer is because I was here that night. And there was very little discussion by the trustees about the levy at all. Now that doesn't mean the fire department doesn't need it. Any of you that have been coming to these meetings have seen when Brian Lacey was here, he was telling everybody that it's going to be hard for us to attract good qualified firefighters. You have to pay them. And people need to pay their fair share of taxes for this, but they also need to understand why the need is there. So after that last meeting, I filed a public records request only to the trustees. I did not send it to Cindy Ozen. I did not send it to Mr. Brett. I sent it directly to the trustees. And I waited for an answer because I felt the answers needed to be out before early voting started on October 8th. I am still waiting for it. I did not even receive an acknowledgement that you even received it. So under the Ohio Revised Code, I'm sorry.
I don't think that was the case. I think you did receive.
No, I did not receive.
From Kim Day. Yes, you did.
From who?
From Kim Day.
From who?
From Kim.
No, I did not. Not on this.
It's actually on your email that you sent out. It's on the response to the email.
Well, I'll have to look at the email. Please, and if I'm wrong, I apologize for that. However, I still haven't seen anything. I sent another email when I hadn't received anything to Dan Blanton. Didn't get an answer on that. All I'm going to say is simple questions like, what percentage increase did the firefighters get in their last contract? Not answered. So all I'm saying to you is, as trustees, as elected officials, which by the way, you're my elected trustees too, please start communicating. You had very low turnout at your ambassadors. Very low. The last ambassadors meeting was held at 10 a.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Morning, I'm sorry. Everybody knows what happens on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Parents are out with their kids. Okay, they're out at soccer games or they're trying to take care of their lives. I would just ask that you guys start communicating. And I will go back as soon as I get back here, and I will look for the email that you said I received. And if that is the case, I will admit to that right now. But I don't remember seeing that email. So
I was more than surprised when you said you had not received a response from the attached to that email.
I'm just telling you, I haven't seen it.
Well, it's like,
All right, I'll report. My message is still the same. You got a lot of questions And there were a lot of questions unanswered in that public records request, simple ones. Thank you.
If I may, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me, hold back, I would just like to know, there's a follow-up from the zoning situation that we talked about last week with the houses, and I do feel, I know I stepped on you proceeding with an independent inspector. I think that's a great idea, as long as the county's doing their fair share. But what is the result?
Yeah,
Which I've seen a little bit.
I spoke with Mr. Rudd about that earlier, and I think you got a response. You did reach out to.
Actually, Mike actually spoke with Brian, and would you like to?
Yeah, so I reached out to Ron Schneider, asked him, he had a conflict the last meeting. They were actually doing an all-day training, all staff training. He said that he could attend the meeting in November if still requested. He gave me a lengthy response, and I took notes, and I shared that at our meeting 2 weeks ago. Essentially, they utilize green. Mr. Pastor covers Green Township, Miami Township, Harrison. And he said that they're working on trying to add staff to do those, do that type of work. And that he pointed out that, again, there's some things that the county does handle. There's other things, as you're well aware, the township is required to handle. And kind of said that's, that they are where they are with it. And it's up to us to decide whether, whether you're satisfied and want to continue to partner with them or not. So I think that this board is going to discuss tonight, hopefully in an executive session that was on the agenda, to discuss whether we're going to move forward with hiring someone or not. We actually have 2 individuals that have shown interest now, so we have options, or if we're going to wait to hear from Mr. Schneider at that first meeting. But yeah, so the ask was made. I try to get more information, and that's kind of and I wanted to wait until Mayor Burkholz was finished, but I just wanted to point out for the public so that everyone knows. I think we got 3 ambassadors meetings, and I know one was in the evening on purpose on a weeknight evening. One was a Saturday morning, and I can't remember where the third one was. But the effort was made to try to accommodate, knowing that for some individuals it's better to be a weeknight, other individuals it's better to be a weekend. We're trying to make it so that they have options. And again, as was pointed out previously, Cindy and Jim have done their coffees and trying to be accessible and open to the public. So, we're doing far better than I think we ever had in these kind of things. We've been going out of our way to try to be accessible and let people know. So, anyway, that's all.
Right. Anything else, public?
Just one thing. There was only one thing I have on the public records request, and that had nothing to do with my other request. That one was about, I forget exactly, it was something Jim brought up last time. I think it was with the insurance issue, but it was not my public records.
I disagree.
Well, you show it to me.
I will be happy to print that out for you.
I would appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else for the public? All right.
If you wouldn't mind, could we do just a quick updates first, and then we can maybe proceed. So I just want to let everyone know I did attend, and this is a follow-up for the Styrene. I did attend the LEPC committee meeting. That's the local emergency planning committee, and that's for the EMA with Nick Crossley, the director, and Doug Witskin, and that was held out at the Hamilton County Educational Services Center. And they presented it to essentially all regional law enforcement and hazmat type groups. And I just want to say that they were applauding Miami Township and Whitewater Township and for the response with the fire departments and everything. So that was good. This board did officially set trick or treating or 6 to 8 p.m. on the 31st. So I know that can be a given by some, but communities have the right and ability to set whatever times that they want. Some do 5 to 7, 5 to 30, 7:30, whatever it is, 6 to 8. And again, please be careful if you're out on the roadways with those little ones. We did have our first land use committee meeting, which had been rescheduled twice through no fault of our own. But that did occur last week, and I thought that went very well. New board members were acclimating and had a lot of great questions and trying to understand that, so that was good. And we have a follow-up. We have a timeline that was set by Hamilton County, who's helping guide us through that process to adopt a new 5-year land use plan. And our next meeting is next month of that committee. And finally, I would just say, I don't talk politics here, but we do have a big election coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'd like to encourage everyone to get out and vote, whatever your preference is. I think it's important that we all participate in our civic and do our civic duty and vote. So that's all I have. Thank you.
So,
And nothing to
Then I will, would you like me to make the motion or did you make the motion? Executive session.
I can make the motion, the executive
Yeah, sure.
session. The appointment of Simon to President, the motion of compensation.
I will second.
All right, Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes. Make a motion that we return from executive session.
Second.
All right, Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right. Back for the consideration of adding part-time contract position for property maintenance issues. Motion.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
And, what I discussed by Anthony.
Yeah, appreciate the discussion. And after talking about it, we would like to extend an offer to the following individuals to join our finance committee should they accept it. But so that we don't have to delay any further. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Tim Freeze, Jennifer Larkins, and former Chief Steve Over to the Finance Committee, again, pending their acceptance. And Mr. Williams, Joe Williams, would like to remain on the Finance Committee as well.
Mr. Volrath? Yes. Mr. Robinson?
Yes. I will make the motion that we get.
Can I say something before you do? Sure. First of all, yes, Kim did send it, so I want to apologize to her and to you for that. But I also want to make an additional statement. I filed numerous public records requests when Brian Lacy was put under extreme duress. Those were channeled up to your attorney, Alex Ewing. I had sent a private text message to Dan Blanton, telling him I was not going to accept that again. There was information in that public records request that, quite frankly, could have easily been given, and I specifically put in there. You know, if some documents are available, I would like to have them. If other ones don't, if there is some type of unclear request, tell me what I need to fix it. None of that happened. And that's inexcusable. And I mean literally inexcusable. So while I will apologize for that, I don't like being stonewalled. And that's how I feel that the township trustees have handled this, and they handled the same thing with running waste. You may not look at it that way, you may not feel about it that way, but I think you gotta educate your public. And that's exactly what the Miami Conservatory is doing now. Instead of going ahead forward, they paused, and now they're doing an education function before, and all they had to do was vote to put an assessment on. It didn't even go before the voters. But they were smart enough to say, we need to pull back and explain to the public why we need to repair these dams. That's what that meeting was about today. All I can say to you is, and Joe and I have been talking while you guys were out, and I pulled up the research on how to run a levy. And the first thing they say in that research is the worst time to talk about a levy is when it's already on the ballot. All of that should have been preceded. In fact, they recommend 48 months in advance of putting a levy on. Well, that's difficult to do. But you guys all voted on this based on Mr. Brett's recommendation. There was virtually no discussion in that meeting. I have it on videotape. I also sent each of you a 22-page document from the auditor's statement. Most of it will discredit what he said to you in the ambassador's meeting. There's some things he got right, but the one about not saying even thank you is incorrect. There are specific policies that you can and should be adopting when you're going to be running a levy. So I'm not opposed to the fire levy. I will pay what we need to pay. And quite frankly, we got some additional money through the inside millage that we're not concerned about whether or not we can pay the additional in the village of Cleves. My issue is I need to sell our residents on why you need it. And I haven't heard that piece yet. I haven't heard the case. Today, what I heard up at the Miami Conservatory is that if that dam fails, every single other dam will fail. And that will result in a catastrophic destruction again, just like in 1913. And they cited all of the rainfall data to show that. And they went through and spent a lot of time explaining why these dams are they're over 100 years old. They need the money. If they don't have the money, they're not going to repair it. And if they don't repair it, maybe it won't be this year, maybe it won't be next year, but somewhere down the road, there's going to be a catastrophic event. We can't afford not to have a fire department. You have to pay them. You have to pay them. And the residents need to know why. They need to know what the costs are. They need to be shown whether you control costs, the overtime amount. There may be a valid reason for the overtime amount, but I asked for a comparison, which quite frankly, I will need at some point in time. And if I am correct that Alex Ewing has this, okay, he is not doing you or any resident any service at all. I never have intended to cause Miami Township any trouble. That was never my goal to do. I just think you need to communicate. And the way I heard all the things about all the posts that I went through the Miami Township website. There wasn't a whole lot going on there. I went through and got all your minutes from previous meetings. I went back and reviewed video. There's really not much you guys have done to even make the people aware. Your signs are just now going up. All that stuff should have been ready to go long before early voting. And I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you long term. So that's all I wanted to do.
I appreciate that.
If I can just clarify, there's a couple of things, and I don't want to get into a whole big back and forth, but I will say that just put this on Jim Brett as the sole individual that recommended this, I think is inaccurate and unfair, because this was Mr. Brett, our administrator, our fiscal officer, Ms. Oster, worked with the fire chief and our finance committee, all to decide, and Mr. Williams is shaking his head, all to decide what was the appropriate level of funding that we needed. And our board went into executive session and had a very lengthy discussion as to whether we should move forward or not. And after getting recommendations from our administrator, from our fiscal officer, from our fire chief, and from our finance committee, the decision was made to put on the ballot and move forward. Again, after that, we went to great lengths to try to have public input, admittedly after it was put on the ballot, but to have, again, multiple administrative ambassadors meetings and other
You have two
opportunities.
Two.
And so, we did our due diligence to the best of our ability to, when it was brought to our attention that we needed to move forward to put this on because we didn't have the funds, because the 5-year levy was up and it was time to move forward. So I just want to clarify that this wasn't one individual making a recommendation. This was multiple individuals.
That wasn't even the question. The question was who made the decision, who made the recommendation to combine them? That was the question that was asked. And nobody answered it that day. But in the meeting you guys decided on, all the public got to see was Jim Brett making the recommendation to combine them. And that is on video. It's on your video, it's on my video. So who decided to combine them? Maybe you guys did something in executive session. We don't know what goes on in executive. We're not supposed to know what goes on in executive session.
Correct.
But he's the one who made the recommendation. All right. So I'm not contesting. What I'm saying is, I hope the hell this thing passes. I really do. That's why I gave $100, which has not been cashed yet. I gave it directly to your fire chief to give to Steve Over. I've contacted Steve Over multiple times. My check is not clear. So I want your levy to pass. Okay, but I also want the public to have an idea of what it's going to cost and why you need it. Just because you guys have talked about it and you feel you need it, that is not how you run a levy. You run a levy through communication and advance. You're following the Cleves model, which has failed repeatedly. I hope it doesn't fail this time. There's too much at stake.
Can I make just one comment, because Mr. Bertholz is correct about the statement that I made about at one point we were told that you were not even allowed to say thank you. That was probably a year prior to the information that he pulled, and everybody and their brother that I know of thought that was ridiculous. And that was a recommendation that was made at a training at the Ohio Township Association, which they thought was ridiculous. And I provided you guys with the information from January 23 that Rickard and Graydon provided for guidance at the Ohio Township Association conference. So that's where you got the information that I provided to you. So, but he is correct. We can now thank the voters for their generosity. It was a ridiculous thing. And I still stand on most of the restrictions are ridiculous, because the elected officials should be able to go out and explain to the people why they need the money. I get Mr. Bertholz and I agree on that 100%.
We do agree on it, but there's a time when you do it under the law. And even going back to what you said, at the time you gave that same report to Cleves. Exact same report. I disagree with it at the time. There had been no formal decision made. You were giving them information that might have, not that would have. And at the time, it was perfectly legal to think. And it turned out when they did their update, which is what I provided, they clarified that right there. So I don't want to argue about that. I just think you got to do a better job of communicating, getting your information out. Give you one example. You have all these HOAs. I am at a loss why you haven't gotten with all the presidents of those HOAs and asked them, would you put out township information through your email list? They all have it. Every one of them have it. You're missing the opportunity to really educate your people. If you can convince those HOAs it's in their best interests, which I think it is, because it's crazy to think you're not going to pay your firefighters and your EMTs. It's crazy. You've got to pay them a competitive wage. And even if you don't have one person that has a heart attack, you still got to have it because you never know when the shoe's going to fall. And people need to understand that.
Mistake, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, mistake. Have we already set that out?
We do have a constant or a contact communications for our HOA presidents to distribute to their HOA.
And that's been done already?
I have sent information. I did that a while back. We haven't sent one of recent.
Did they respond?
Very few send response. There are some that do send, got it or will do, but there's no.
So
A couple of contacted me directly,
the effort is made and
when we talked, I've offered, that both the fire chief and I could come out and explain to them. Most of them, and I'm somewhat surprised because I've been a member of an HOA, that most of them said, we don't get involved in politics. And I tried to explain that I didn't feel like fire levy was politics. But I actually had more than one tell me that. But we had some, Mr. Bidner, who was at the last ambassador meeting from West Spring Farms, put out the information, said that, he declined our offer to come, but he said he would pass the information along to their people, and several of them did. I know Mr. Dryer did. So, but if they don't want us there, I felt like I wanted to go crash their parties if I could find out when their meetings were, but I felt like that would be.
But just because people don't know about it doesn't mean we're not doing it. And it's not helpful when you say that we've only put out a couple of yard signs. Again, I've been told that we can't do that as the township. So the committee can, but that we can't do
And
it.
so if you read the auditors, you're going to find out that's not accurate. You can actually be part of that committee. You can just not do it physically in this room. And you got to do it on your own time. And it better not be where two of you were together at the time. So I mean, you could have somebody on your township thing, but let me just go back to your email communication. Maybe people will look more closely now with the styrene link, the importance of communication. I think you could probably capitalize on that. As far as sending them an email about political things, I don't think inviting people to an ambassadors meeting or to a township trustee meeting or sending out like I did today, there's going to be road closures in the area. I don't think that's information that's political. It's information citizens need, and if you stick to that, I cannot for the life of me think why they wouldn't want to share that information with their residents.
And we have some of those with the road closures and things we've updated and sent things out in the past.
Through the HOAs. How many? How many HOAs? I would just simply say, maybe what you gotta do, Jim, is you gotta actually physically go out and talk to them. And simply say to them, we've got important information that people need to know. And this is the kind of information we would like to share with you. Maybe it's not about them. Maybe it's just about things that are happening. And maybe that won't work. I just think it generally does. Thank you.
Anything else? Otherwise, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
All right. Mr. Voran?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.